ziua, dragilor! Sunt așa de fericită că reușesc să fac acest podcast cu video. Sunt aici cu minunata de Cameron Fradd, care este în România pentru câteva zile, alături de soțul ei, Matt, și alături de care am făcut o serie de conferințe și întâlniri. Am avut o discuție foarte, foarte interesantă cu ea. Vă invit să ascultăm interviul. Hello, dear Cameron. I can't believe you're in our podcast at Casă pe Piatră. Your visit in Romania was such a delight for us. Please tell our listeners a little bit about you first.
Sure. My name is Cameron Fradd. My husband, Matt, and I are here in Romania with our 4 children, and we are absolutely loving your amazing, beautiful country.
Thank you.
It has been our honor to come, so thank you for having us, and it's been beautiful to meet so many beautiful Catholics on fire for Jesus.
Yes. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. It's like a dream come true. Just tell me a little bit more about yourself. I was very curious when you told me how you became such an educated Catholic. I know your family is not in the church, not all of it. So tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so I was raised more what we call cultural Catholic. So It was part of our identity that we were very proud that we were Irish Catholic in America. And that's part of who we were, but we didn't really necessarily take the faith seriously. And I don't think when I was younger, I was catechized very well. It wasn't explained to me. We were told this is what we do, but we were never told the why behind it.
Okay.
And then in high school, I had some very powerful, profound experiences where I just fell head over heels in love with the Lord. And Our Lady, I feel like, just took me under her mantle and guided me. And then when I graduated high school, so at 18, I decided to do something called NET Ministries. It's National Evangelization Team. And I was going to be traveling around Canada doing retreats for high school students. But you have a 6-week training. And during that training, they really do a wonderful job of evangelizing and catechizing and teaching you the faith. So there's one night on God the Father, one on Christ, one on the Holy Spirit. And I was just surrounded by beautiful Catholics from all over the world that love the Lord and live their faith. And I learned from them. I learned from example. I learned from them teaching us about personal prayer. And we would go to Mass often. We pray every day together as a team. And it just, kind of set me on fire and made my faith that much more firm.
Okay, that's so nice. So as a teenager, you discovered the beauty of an active Catholic Church. And how did you take this at home with your family?
So I kind of joke that I rebelled my way into the church. I remember my mom telling me I was probably around 15 or 16, and I wasn't living the best life. I was living your average American life, unfortunately, where it was more making bad choices and not really knowing my worth or my dignity. And I remember there was an all-boys Catholic school in Louisiana, and they had this very active youth group. And to be honest, in the beginning, a cute boy asked me to go. So that's why I wanted to go. But then there was something there. These people were on fire and knew their faith. And so I wanted to be a part of it. And I remember my mom saying to me, I wanted to go another night of the week. She's like, whoa. We are not one of these families that go to church multiple nights a week. It's fine that you do this youth group one night a week, but no, you shouldn't go to this other. I was like, oh yeah? Yeah, well, guess what? There's a rosary group. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to go to that too. So I joke that I rebelled my way into the church because not that my parents were against it, but they were kind of like, no, you need to be more balanced. School and sports are the top priority. We do go to church, but it's one day a week. You don't go more. And I started going more. And I just, I felt like I was missing something in my life. And through going to the youth group and the prayer meetings, that part of my heart was coming alive and getting filled.
That is so interesting. So the reverse psychology worked as a charm on you.
Yeah. I don't know if my mom did it on purpose or not, but it did. Yeah, I wanted to be more into and then I had a similar experience to Matt, where Matt talked about his conversion when he went to Rome. When I was 16, I had an opportunity to go to Rome as well. Okay. And the people there just were, head over heels in love with their faith. And I went for a cute boy. And instead, I fell in love with John Paul II.
Okay.
He was a cute boy that I went for a different boy. And the group I went with, we were completely separate, the girls and boys. And so I wasn't even with the guys, but this amazing Polish guy spoke straight to my heart. And I just loved everything he was saying. I felt like I was coming more alive. And this whole be not afraid, open wide the doors to Christ. I kind of caught the bug and the zeal, if you will, from John Paul II.
That is so interesting. Thank you so much for your testimony and for the work that started from all this. So let's move on and see how the homeschooling of 4 kids and the work you do balance everything in your life.
I don't do it well. I think that's the main thing. I love my kids. I love my life. I often feel like sometimes I'm trying harder than I ought to try. And when I'm doing that, I feel like I'm spinning too many plates. And it's me trying to make it all work. And I think when that's happening, I need to go to confession and I need to talk about self-reliance. And I used to think, oh, it's so good, I can do all this on my own. And now I try to be like, all right, Lord, whatever your will is, and laying out all the things that I need to get done in a given day. I'm feeling like there's not enough of me to go around. Like there's 4 children that want my undivided attention and need my undivided attention, and my husband. And then also I love podcasting and I love doing this. So I feel like I have to keep the right things in the right order. So it's like me and God first, and then Matt, and then the children, and trying, but knowing that I'm going to fall short. And I remember early on in marriage when I was pregnant, Matt asked a good friend of ours, he was afraid that he wouldn't be a good dad. And he's like, are you not afraid? Like, I'm afraid I'm going to stuff up. I'm afraid I'm going to not be enough. And he's like, of course you're not going to be enough. Of course he's like, who am I to deprive my children of getting hurt and broken? Like I would deprive them of needing a savior. So yes, you will mess up. You will mess up your kids. You will make mistakes, and just make sure they know where to go to get healed. And I think there's a freedom in that. Like, I am not a perfect mom. I'm not a perfect wife, but I try my best by God's grace. I ask for the grace to do the best I can. And then when I do mess up, I apologize and ask for forgiveness. And I make sure they know where to go to get healing. And it's just leading them back to Christ.
That is so nice. That's such a good example. And it's so hard for us as women to understand, to accept that we are not perfect and we cannot do it all, because the society around us, that's what is asking for us. You can do everything and be perfect at everything. So it's so refreshing. And yes, we are not perfect, but we are trying. And of course, we need God in our life for this. So about control, and how do we as wives and mothers and women, we give up control in our lives?
It's a process. And I think this is what's really good about having a good husband. Okay. Because like, I think of like when we're raising little kids, like it is like we had that beautiful 2-month-old just a minute ago. We were holding this precious little baby, and it is good that his mom wants him close and is cuddling him tight. And then even when she let us hold him, like it was a very gentle handing over. We're supporting his head. We're being gentle. That's good. We need that. That baby needs everything, and we need to support them. And I feel like when we have kids, we naturally do that as women, and we want to protect. But what does the dad do? The dad kind of tosses the baby, not a newborn, not a 2-month-old, but as the baby gets bigger, the dad allows more boundaries. Yes. And the dad's like, oh, it's fine. He can play in the dirt. He can, like, this is good. And through that, as a mom, sometimes we're like, no, but we're like, no, this is good. And we're letting go of a little control. And I feel like we need to keep doing that as our kids get older as well, and give things over to the Lord. And it's like, okay, I don't have control over it. Lord, I entrust this situation to you. Look after them, protect them. And we're kind of taking baby steps as the kids get older. Like recently, my 16-year-old went to Rome in Italy without me.
Wow.
It was a bunch of college students that went, and good friends of ours went. And so like he had plenty of adult supervision, but it was hard for me. And I was like, oh, I don't know if we should let him go. And my husband had to talk me down and be like, okay, listen, he's bigger than me. He weighs more than me. He's 6'2", but I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is good. And it's like, no. He's going with all these amazing college students. He'll be okay. They're looking after him. They're like, he was on a pilgrimage. It was good, but my natural thing was to protect him. I want to keep him home and safe with me. But he's a big kid now, and the Lord is calling him out, and I need to learn to let go and surrender. And so I often try to look at my body position. So when I'm trying to control something and fix it, I feel like it's more of a clutch, and I've got this, and I'm not letting go. And changing and trying to have a little more open and be like, all right, Lord, like it's turning the hand from this to this, and asking for the grace to do that and in trust, and not in foolish ways. So I feel like some people are like, oh, well, like the world needs evangelists. So it's okay that my kids go to this secular school where they're taught all these horrible things. No. We need to use prudence. It's not turn your 10-year-old into the fires. It's
of course
within prudence. Trying to let go of certain areas of control. But I am not perfect at it. So I'm trying as well. And it is hard, but praying for the grace to do it.
Yes, so it's easier for dads to let go than moms. Yes, because we have this bare instinct that to protect everything. And what we are saying before about how we can integrate hard times like this, even letting go with your kids, or a illness or a really bad day. How can we integrate this in our life without affecting the dynamic of the relationship, our relationship with the father, our relationship with our husband, with our kids, because we are one person. So we disseminate what we feel. And
it's hard. It is so hard. And I think when I'm aware of it, so I feel like y'all are still in Lent, right?
Yes.
So during Lent, like on Fridays and Wednesdays, like you don't know why, but you just really crave McDonald's or a burger or whatever it is. And it's learning to say no and sacrifice in those moments. Or maybe I had one Lent where I gave up sugar, all sugar. And at one point, I don't even think we were a week into Lent, and Matt literally threw a bag of M&Ms at me. It was like a big king-size bag of M&Ms. And it's like, just eat it. Just eat it. This is horrible. You are making all of us suffer, because I was going through sugar withdrawals and I was just being mean.
Okay.
And so I think it's good to take a step back and be like, all right, Lord, help me do this and help me do it well. So instead of taking something massive on, taking something a little smaller on, and learning the sacrifice in the little things. So even teaching our children, like we're saying no to sweets and chocolates during Lent, or we're saying no to meat on Fridays, because through all these little yeses, it's easier to make a big yes and a big sacrifice. And then I also think our mindset. So I was talking about this earlier, especially when you have really little kids. So the mom that is just angry in the middle of the night, and it could be the same mom. I've had nights where I'm just upset that my kids have me up through the night, and I'm just so tired. All I want to do is sleep. Will you not just go to sleep? Yes. And I find those nights are long and exhausting, and the next morning, it's so hard. But if I have a mindset that's a little different, where it's like, all right, Lord, thank you for the gift of being a mom. Thank you that this baby needs me. Thank you that you've given me all the things I need to give to this child. Like, this is my body given up for you. Like, I will feed the baby through the night, and this is my holy hour. And praying through that and seeing it as a gift, in the morning it's easier. So I feel like the more we're able to turn those little sacrifices and unite it to the cross, like not waste an ounce of suffering. I know that people don't often like the term offer it up, but I love it when it's in the right context, right? And it's if we're truly offering it up, and it's like, okay.
So what's the right context?
Making it a prayer, right? So I had a kid who scraped their knee, and she was crying, and she started saying someone's name, and I realized she's offering this up. Like, she didn't waste the scraped knee. So it's like, I'm so sorry that you hurt your knee, honey. And it's good to comfort them in that, but you want to make it all better and all go away. And we can't do that. But by teaching your child, who do you want to pray for? This pain, let's offer it up. Who do you want to pray for? And then praying for that person, it gets our eyes off of ourselves on another and unites us to the cross. I had a kid that they were getting tickled too hard and said, like, the siblings went too far. The kids were fighting and they got tickled too hard. And he said, oh, now I know just what Jesus felt like dying on the cross. Not quite. Okay. Jesus dying on the cross was definitely more dramatic than you getting tickled too hard. But like, that little example is like, we're teaching them, let's offer it up. Like, think about Christ and his suffering. And
That's so funny because if you teach the kids, maybe they will find opportunities in other areas. So that's good, I think. Yeah, as they grow up, they learn
Yes.
how to go in the right direction with these offerings. What advice would you give young mothers struggling with careers and raising little babies? As you said before, white nights, not sleeping,
Yeah.
feeling tired in the morning.
Don't expect that you can do it all. I think we're told we can do it all. And that's part of the feminism that I have more recently learned. I'm really against this. This is not okay. Like, we are denying our natural femininity and saying, I am woman, hear me roar, I can do all things. So we're trying to be the career woman. We're trying to be the good wife. We're trying to be the homemaker. We're trying to be the good mother. We're trying to do like the role of 10 different women, and we can't.
And then we fell apart.
We fall apart, yeah, and we wonder why. And it's like, you weren't meant to spin all 10 of these plates. Like, if we look at the way things used to be, like, yes, we used to teach the children, but we would do it as we were baking bread, as we were doing gardening, and nothing else was expected of us. Like, us being at home, taking care of the house and the children, that was part of it. And the kids would go out into the field and work with their fathers and learn from that. Like I think sometimes we look at, oh, look how oppressed they were. They weren't oppressed. Like, there was a freedom in that. And I think it's good that we're like, no, I think it's good to be like, you could be a woman and you could be a successful doctor. That is good. But if that's your number one thing, then your family life will suffer. And it's hard. And so it's hard to find the balance between work. And so Matt always says, all the ways that I fail at work and podcasting, it's because I'm succeeding being a wife and mom. And I think we do need to prioritize and decide what's more important and where we're going to put more of our energy. And I know not everyone has the ability to stay home with their children. That's very hard. And I get that, but I think that is the ideal. And I think it needs to be the top priority. And I think you need to learn for a little bit when Matt was waiting for a work visa. So I went to work when I was pregnant with my third, and he stayed home with the 2 little kids. And I remember after like the first week, he's like, I am so sorry for any time I ever said, what did you do today? Or why is the house such a mess? He's like, this is so hard. I clean and then they tear it apart. They have so much energy and it's exhausting. And I was thankful for that little season that he got to experience what I experienced, and he appreciated me more. And then it's both of us that take care of the house and the kids, but more of it falls on me because he is working more. And learning that balance. And I think every marriage needs to figure it out for themselves. But I think we look at others and like, she's able to do all of it very well. I don't think she does. Like, I think there's an area that's suffering, and you've got to choose like what's more important, getting that next promotion or making sure you have your children's hearts and know where they're at.
Yes, and we have to be honest about it. Like, I think it's a lot of lies in the society that you can have it all. You can do it all. Your husband can do it all. You can keep your children with other people and be fine. And these are all lies that we are buying into. And I myself, for one, I bought into it a long time and now I see, as long as I stay home with my kids, they are so much better. Yeah. Our family life is so much easier. Everything I do around it, it's so much easier because the context is different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel really bad because I feel like I bought into a lot of those lies as well. And I have women that write to me that are in their 50s, and they're like, I did everything that I was told to do, and I'm very successful, and I make all this money, and I have this amazing apartment with this great view of the city. And they're like, I can't have children.
Yes.
I was told that I didn't need them, but now I'm sad and I want them. And now I'm looking at the guys my age, and like, they're not married because they were told this was freedom, and now they're desiring it. And not that it's not too late for them to get married, but it is too late for them to have children.
Yes. Yes.
And that's hard. Like, we've been duped,
yes.
You know?
Yes, about what you said about the feminist movement. I was just listening to your podcast with Carrie Grass, which I'm very fond of, and I love her. and it changed my mind about a lot of things. I changed my mind before, but she puts everything in context. So I want to ask you, what is the worst thing you think the feminist movement did for us, for women?
I think it denied our basic femininity. Like, I think unfortunately, we were told we had to be the same as a man. And by doing that, we have deprived the world of the gift of the feminine and the female heart. The end of, I forget if it's the woman's letter, but it says, a woman that is embedded with the spirit of the gospel can do so much to aid humanity in not falling. Well, we as women did not know our worth and dignity, did not know who we are, and the world is very confused and lost. And even I said it to y'all today, the Romanian women, and I am experiencing it in Austria too. I think there's pockets of it all over the world, but for some reason you haven't been as touched by the woke agenda.
Not yet.
Which I'm so grateful for. Please don't. Stay beautiful in the way you are, because a lot of women in America are very, very confused, and I've been told that they're bad. Their bodies are bad. They have to be the same as men. And by doing this, we're degrading men and we're degrading ourselves, and we're being less than what we are called to. And the sexes, males and females, we are created equal, but not the same. Sameness is reducing us. We complement each other. As I was saying, like the father helps give the kids more freedom and push the boundaries, and we as women protect, and we need both. If you only had one, it wouldn't be as good. It's good to have both. And so just as it's good to have the nuclear family where you have family, and there's so many beautiful families here where the mother and father are intact, and you're talking about grandparents, great grandparents, that's not something as common in my culture, and there's a brokenness that that can't be fixed. And so we need to return back to showing the beauty of a woman, and I think part of that, I mean, did you see Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I send that to all my friends, and some of them are not talking to you anymore. So the woke agenda is coming to Romania as well, and to Europe, and it's pushed on us really hard. And that's why I think it's so important to educate ourselves. Like you said, we have to learn what feminism brought us. And I love what Carrie Grace said. A lot of propaganda is that we have to be grateful to the feminist movement because we have great jobs, because we have everything. But what if it's not because of them? What if we would have this because of the technological improvement and everything that we have nowadays? We have washing machines. We have so much free time that our mothers and grandmothers never had.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I think you're right. I think it would have come with time. I am grateful that I can vote, that I have a voice, that I am free. I'm grateful for all of these things. I'm not saying these things are bad, but I want to do it in terms of, I want it to be different, because you're right. And I love that she points that out. And I think it's good to empower our children, but also show them the beauty of being a wife and mom and what that means. And I think we're having this radical shift. There's these YouTubers that are popping up that are, it's like homemaking, and they're making sourdough bread. And it's we're not saying you have to do this, but let's kind of go back to some of this and look at the beauty of it. And I do have friends that are that do work, and they're amazing, wonderful, beautiful women. But let's do it as women, not as men, because I think when we, I was at the point, and I think some women are afraid because they're like, well, no, you're saying that you're being hateful for those women that that identify as men. And it's I'm not surprised more women are identifying as men, because our society has raised us to say, you are the exact same. You could do everything a guy can do. And even I, as a girl, going through junior high, I hated my body when I developed into a woman because I was a tomboy. So my chest got in the way of my baseball swing, and that made me angry. So if someone was like, hey, you can chop them off, there's a surgery, I'd be like, yes, thank you, Jesus. I want to do the surgery.
Yes.
I'm so grateful no one said that to me.
Of course.
I didn't realize the beauty of my body. I would have been denied being able to feed my babies. That was the point. The point was not that I could swing my softball back the correct way, you know?
Yes.
And I think sometimes it takes time to grow into our femininity and takes time to grow into our bodies as they're changing. And so I think it's with compassion we look at our fallen sisters that have bought into this world and the lies of the world. And so it's out of love that we say the gift of femininity. And we do have women coming out now that have gone through, they bought the lies of transgenderism and they try to live as a man, and they were so unhappy. They're like, I was so unhappy. And now they're coming back and they're like, and now I don't belong in either world.
Yes.
And I'm so confused.
And I did this and it didn't fix me. So
Yes.
why?
Yes. And I love our brave sisters that are doing that. And we need more of that. But we need to have these hard conversations with our children and with each other and support each other in this.
Yes, that is so hard, because for us Christians it's easier because we know the heart is deceitful and we don't have to do everything we feel. But the society doesn't say that. The society says, if you feel like it, your heart knows. You do that because your heart knows what is good. But we know that's not true. Yeah. But how can you explain that to somebody in, a secular world, which they look at us like, you're crazy. What do you mean? You can do whatever you want. Your heart knows.
No, I think that we are gifted to be Christians where we're given these guidelines, or even our Jewish brothers and sisters, they have the 10 commandments. Like we're given, so it's like saying true freedom would be no rules out there driving. Let people drive however they want. People would be getting murdered all the time. Like, you guys are very strict with following your walking rules too.
Yes.
So like you do not jaywalk.
No.
You only walk at crosswalk. And I see here it's a busy city.
Yes.
And it works because people follow those rules, and people are on bikes and scooters, and it works because everyone knows the rules and they kind of follow them. They're not rules because the country hates you and wants to punish you. They're rules that if we live within these, you have freedom and you can drive fast in certain areas. And I think that's it. Like we're given basic biblical teachings and we're given these guidelines, and that's where we find freedom and that's where we're happy. It's not a list of no, don't do these, but rather an invitation to this is what you do to be happy. And when we follow and when we do things that the way the Lord created us to do them, life is easier.
Yes, of course. And I would like to talk a little bit more about femininity. I remember a few months ago, I think Candace Owen started a trend that told moms not to go out in their sweatpants and dress nicely. And I love that so much because you notice in Romania, everybody dresses a little bit more nicely than in United States, even for no occasion, just like putting a dress or lipstick or something. So how can we claim back our femininity?
Yeah,
in this world that pushes us to, be in sweatpants all day and do whatever we want. So.
Yeah, I love it because I think it makes you feel, and not saying that everyone needs to be dressed up all the time, but like today, as I went into my talk, I was like, there's things that I talk about in America that I don't think I need to talk about here, because just looking around the room, it was a variety of ages of ladies, but everybody some people had pants on, but they like had a blouse or something that was a little more feminine, and others, like this one girl had this beautiful flowing skirt in the front row. And my kids love in Austria drindles. Is that what they're called? Do you know what they're called?
Yes.
Yeah, a drindle. Yeah, it's like this feminine, beautiful dress, and there's like an apron looking thing around it, and all the college students love it. Yes. And these young adults are wearing these to mass, and it's just feminine looking. And then after mass one day, there's like so it looked like from The Sound of Music, honestly. All these girls are running around in these beautiful outfits, and they're like sitting and drawing the Kartauza, this beautiful image in the background, and interacting with each other, but you just feel more ladylike, right? And even the way you're sitting in the grass, you have your legs crossed, and there's something more feminine. And it doesn't mean that you are more feminine because you're dressed like that, but you feel more ladylike, right? And it's just, it's beautiful and it's good. And you notice it with little kids. So like, I can't remember if it was your daughter or Teddy's daughter that had like a princess dress on the other night.
Yes.
We don't even speak the same language, but she came out in a way where it was like, I was like, I love your dress. You look so beautiful. And I don't know if she understands English. She knew what I was saying.
Yes.
And I think like affirming the beauty in her, and she delighted in the fact that I affirmed it in her, right? And I think that's all of our desires too. And I think when like I just feel a little prettier when I do my hair and put on something nice. And I think it's good. I think that we're told like, no, dress like a man. And then that's what feminism did. And we're like, no, that wasn't right. Like this is, and I think being respectful. So like we're really big with our kids not wearing yoga pants all the time. Okay. If you're working out, you may wear this. If you're walking around playing with friends or, it's like, we don't wear this. This isn't appropriate. Like we were at the airport and my son said, Mom, does that lady have pants on or did she just paint her legs pink? Like, fair enough. It looks like that woman just painted her legs pink. Yes. Because it was so, tight.
Yeah. I loved what you told me before the interview about how you teach your kids about true, good, and beautiful. I think this brings up, especially for us women raising girls, that it's so important to point that out. This is true, this is beautiful. Expand more on that, please.
Yeah, so I use this in my schooling as well. Like we try to have things in the house and we try to watch TV or shows that are true, good, and beautiful. So we went on a Little House on the Prairie kick. We went on the Waltons kick. Okay. There's Little Men is a new season that we've been watching. So things that are true, good, and beautiful is what we want to hear, what we want to see, and what we want to do. So books on our bookshelf. So we were just talking about the books on the bookshelf and the background here. Yes. And all of, I don't know Romanian, so I can't vouch for all of them, but all the ones that I recognize and I know have elements of truth, goodness, and beauty. And the more we surround ourselves with that, the more we can be around that, the more we can recognize it. And we recognize things that are not that, right? And so explaining that to our children and showing them and trying to have them be around things, they appreciate it more. So like we were blessed to go to the salt caves yesterday. Yes. And they commented multiple times, like, this is just so beautiful. Like, I don't even understand. Like, this is salt. Like, and then on the drive, too, the kids were commenting, like, God's such an artist. Look at the sky. Look at the fields. Like, it looked like there was just such different patchwork of fields that had been sowed and ones that hadn't yet. And so you had the green and the black and the brown, but it's artwork. Or when we went to the botanical gardens, like, noticing the beauty in it all. And when you stop and notice it, so, like, my 8-year-old found that bee and he's like, look, the tongue's out and it spiraled down. And like, if we didn't teach him to notice things, if he was on a phone, if my son was on a device, he would have stepped on that bee and walked on and still looking at the device, still scrolling. He wouldn't have noticed it. But because we've tried to train him in a way, he's like, look at this beautiful thing. And I didn't even know that the tongue of a bee came out and curled like that. And he's showing us and he's teaching us, but it's, the more we can do that, like when our eyes are open and we're aware, both as adults, but also children, that's why like technology is so not good for little kids. So like if you see a little kid, neurologists now have found that babies, there's something where little babies, they register and get soothed by your face. So by the parent's face in particular. And so when like little kids are like toddlers and they run off and they play and they run back to you and just hug you, connect to you, look to you, and then they're safe. They reconnect and then they can go back. They're getting regulated by you. Now they have found that babies and toddlers are going to phones and picking up the phone and doing something on it, and that regulates them.
Okay, that's so sad.
This is very sad, and this is horrible for society because that phone cannot replace you. And maybe you didn't mean to have your child get regulated by the phone, but we need to get it away. We need to get it away from the little kids and give them face-to-face contact. We had a baby living with us who was 3 months old and was very underdeveloped and very behind. And her parents didn't know. So she had a lot of devices around. And we made it a point not to have devices. And we interacted with her and lots of faces smiling. And she would hear our voices, and within a week, it was a completely different child. Wow. This child came alive. They hit all their milestones, and it was because she was getting engaged by so many people. So it wasn't just one person. It was the whole family interacting, and we need that. We live in a world where we need to, and you do it well in Romania. Like even last night, we were like at what would you call that? A pub or?
Yes, a restaurant, a whiskey restaurant.
Yeah, a whiskey restaurant. And I saw very few phones out. People were looking at each other. People had glasses. They were cheersing. They were interacting. This humanness, and we keep saying that in Austria too. We're like, it seems more human. Like we can all walk to the store and we greet everyone, grüß Gott. You know, it's God be with you. And you're saying hello and you look each other. Like that's lacking in my culture right now. Okay. And we need to bring that back. We need to look people in the eye, and it's good to do that. Yeah.
So you don't even have to teach children what is not true and not good and not beautiful, because if you teach them what is, they will notice what is not. Yeah. And I think this is so amazing, because we, as parents, and me as a mother, I always focus, and I have to tell my girls not to do this, not to do that. So we have to focus, to shift our focus and say, you have, this and that, and this is true, this is good, and this is beautiful. That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think I naturally go to the rules and the no's. And that's why I have friends that focus on the good. And I'm like, I need to do that. I need to focus. Yeah. So it's been a mindful shift that I try. It's the same when I get in a bad place and I'm snapping at my kids. Stop it. Cut it out. Yes. Stop doing that. And then I see them doing that to each other.
Yes.
Cut it out. Knock it off. Stop. And I'm like, okay. And then I try to point out the good. For a while, I had when my kids were smaller, I had what I called a virtue treat container.
Okay.
So I had this little box, and I just filled it up with little goodies. And so instead of punishing the child that's doing something wrong, I wait to see when they're doing something good, and then I give them a virtue treat. So I'd be like, oh, like one kid's always stealing the other's toy, and the toy that got stolen, or maybe that kid just gives the toy, instead of focusing on the one and punishing him, you focus on the one who got the toy taken and said, oh, that is so good of you. Thank you so much for being generous. Look at you. You are so virtuous. You are generous with your toy, and you gave it to your brother or sister. Come get a virtue treat. Okay. And then they want it,
nice.
Right?
Yes.
They want to do the good thing. Or when you ask someone to do something right away, it's like, oh, you did so good. I said, clean up those toys and you just did it. That's obedience. Thank you so much. Come get a virtue treat. And they get just like a little trinket.
I like it when you pointed out the name of the virtue.
Yes.
So we just say, you're so good, you listen to your mom, let's get you something. So you have to point out, that's obedience, that's something. Yeah. It's a very good point.
Yeah. One of my, a friend was doing something. They were like 4 years old, maybe 5 years old. And one was talking back to their parents, and my child corrected. And my child talked back a lot as well, but my child corrected that child and was like, oh, you should not talk to your parents like that. You honor them. You're being disobedient. And I was like, and I was like, oh, I feel really good about myself. That same child was talking back to me that same day and being disobedient, but it gives them vocabulary. It gives them words. Yeah, which is good.
That's so nice. And one more thing about this feminism movement, I think that brought in between us women is comparison. Do you think that came from here or from?
Yeah, I do think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also think from original sin. Our concupiscence brings the sin, right?
Okay.
And I think that we see each other as a threat. When women come behind each other, when you have a good, strong community of women, the world will be set afire. Like, it's amazing and beautiful. And like, don't mess with those women, right? Like, you see like Mama Bear kicks in. And when we're loving and supporting each other, it's like, okay, yeah, we don't want to mess with that. Like, it's beautiful. Satan doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want strong women, and he doesn't want them in community. And so he gets us to nitpick each other and rip each other apart. So like, people are like, oh, cat fight or rare, like type of, and it's like, just as we have the ability to build a woman up and tell her how amazing and beautiful, we can rip her down and tear her apart. And it can be very ugly, and it comes from comparison. Like, you've heard, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So we have to be very secure in who we are as women to build up another woman. It's hard. It feels threatening because you think, well, if everyone's noticing how amazing and beautiful this woman is, then they'll think less of me. So you rather speak bad of them and tear them down. But really, when we speak well of them and build them up, then we're able to build up other women. And it's a gift, and we're able to recognize it in someone else. So like, I have a friend who sings beautifully. She's like opera trained. Her voice is amazing. And I tell her that, and I love it. if she said, no, I want to be humble, I don't want to sing, and like she didn't sing, the world is no better. It's much worse off because she has this great gift and she shares it and we can affirm it. And it's actually more humbling for her to accept the thanks and her to accept the praise, where the world says, you know, humanity is saying, no, I don't really have this gift. And it's like, no, you're denying the gift. That's not true humility. True humility is saying, you're welcome. So like after Matt's talk last night, he got an applause from all you beautiful people and there were so many thanks. And if he said, no, I'm not a good speaker, I didn't do anything, you would be hurt.
Yes.
Like it would hurt you as the person that just received his gift of speaking and you affirming him in that. Yeah. Where it's like you both lose. You would lose and he would lose. But instead of affirming it, then you're letting him use his gift and he's saying, praise God, thank you, Lord, for using me as your instrument. And then you also feel better for hearing it, right?
Yes. Yes, of course. But for us women, it's so hard. So what advice do you have for us that we have this tendency to compare ourselves? Besides that, we have to work on ourselves, of course.
Yeah, I think embracing the gift that the Lord has given you and being who you are called to be and trying not to compare. Like, I know it's really hard to not compare. And when you fall into comparison, when you're like, oh, I wish I was better at that. Like you dress very gracefully and beautifully. Like everything you wear, your outfits, they're just lovely. I'm like, oh, I love that. That looks so, I feel messy. I feel like I'm, I don't know, like yesterday I came to Matt's talk and I had salt all over my pants and shoes because I was in a salt cave. So I didn't have time to change. So I just say, it's okay, Lord. I offer this up. It's not a big deal. I could either the entire time be looking at you sitting beside me dressed beautifully and saying, oh, I'm so horrible. Look at these white spots on my pants and like thinking all these negative things. And then it doesn't help you either. But instead, just rejoicing in the other person, there's freedom in that too. Like I'm not meant to be you and you are not meant to be me.
Yes.
The world would be horrible if I tried to be you. I don't have the same gifts as you and talents, you know? And so seeing, okay, Lord, what gifts and talents do I have and sharing those, and also taking the risk. Like it's very vulnerable to share as women because when we're being vulnerable, when we're saying like, this is how my heart is, this is how I feel, we're basically saying, if you want to hurt me, this is how you hurt me.
Okay.
And so we need to be prudent in who we share with and try to share vulnerably. And then when someone comes at you with a dagger, give it to the Lord instead of going back. I think we naturally are like, oh yeah, you think that about me? Oh, well, you just wait and have a quick comeback and beat that person down. And it's hard not to do that, but we need to try. And the more people we're around that they stay in a more vulnerable position, the more permission it gives for other women to do the same.
Yes, that's so true. And how do we give that to the Lord?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think when we get hurt by another woman, say like offering them over to the Lord, like saying, Lord, when she said this about me, I know she's coming from a place of wound. Like I know that she is hurt. So I've been accused of being like very prideful from other women and too much. And like, oh, you really think you're all that. I don't think I'm all that. But I could get upset over it and be like, she thinks I'm so prideful and get angry. And then pride actually enters in and I will get prideful. Or say, you know what, Lord, it's okay that she said that. Like she probably wishes that she could do something. She sees something in me that she wishes she had. Like, let me love her in this. Let me not be a threat. And by trying to pray for that person, you are being more vulnerable. Like I think of Our Lady and like, she's perfect, right? And she's so loving. And I feel like I came to Jesus because of her. I thought I was too sinful to talk to Jesus, but Our Lady felt safe. I felt like I could bring any problem to her and she would be loving. Yeah, I remember early on in ministry, I think I had 1 or 2 babies, but this girl who was like 20, I think I was 25, 26.
Okay.
And she said to me, you're like the mom I never had. And a part of me wanted to be offended and be like, oh my goodness, you think I'm old enough to be your mom? Like I'm 6 years older than you. And I could have gone there, but I didn't. I was like, okay, I am a mom. I have these babies, and this poor girl didn't have a good mom, and she wasn't mothered, and she wasn't nurtured. She sees something in me mothering and nurturing my children. And so I'm going to take this as a compliment and as a gift. Where Satan would be like, she's calling you old. You look old because of all your wrinkles or gray hair or whatever, you know? Asking the Lord to untwist the lie. Yes. So in it, if it's an insult, Lord, untwist the lie here and show me the truth. And then it's okay if someone misunderstands what I'm saying. The Lord knows my heart and he knows what I meant. And that's okay. And learning to like, let it go. It's hard.
Here, the control, letting things go comes again. Yes, that's so insightful. And we're praying we can do this. It's so hard.
Yeah, it is. It's so hard. And I'm trying to. I'm constantly, control is my big thing that I am learning to let go. And I think I read a book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I do think part of why my body was falling apart was because I was trying to control everything. Like I do have a lot of health issues, but I think at a very young age, I decided I was the boss and I was going to take control. And that's how I survived some hard times and trying to be okay, being vulnerable. Matt says like in our marriage, like as the years have gone by, I'm learning to be more feminine and soft, and he's learning to be more masculine and strong and stand up and fight and protect. And it's an ongoing struggle, but we're working on it. And if we have good couples that we look up to, we can get there. And I think just, trying to have, it's hard. And I think the main thing is repentance. Like when we mess up, because you will, and we will. Yes. And I can easily turn and snap on a woman later today and rip her a new one. And I need to go to confession and I need to forgive. And if I'm in relationship with that woman, I need to apologize. Yes. And going to her and saying, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean this. This is what I meant. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt you.
Yes. That is so nice. That was such a lovely discussion. Cameron, thank you so much. And I have one more short question. If you can tell our listeners, what was your most favorite thing in Romania here? You were here for 4 days. What did you like most?
I think meeting y'all, like the conversations. Yeah. So like from the time we got here, we showed up at a friend's house and it was a spectacular view. It was beautiful. This lovely traditional meal was made for us. And we just felt so loved and so welcomed. And today, like there were some women that I talked to for the first time, but they felt seen, and them receiving what I was saying, or maybe things in the past, and just saying like, thank you. Like there's hope. Like you're a very beautiful people. And it's been a gift to get to know even just a little taste. It's been wonderful and beautiful, and it's been a gift. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.